भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णकृष्णाय विष्णुपदाय पताकस्वामीति नाम नमः। आचार्यपदाय कृपाकृताय पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. So I was asked to speak about glories of Krishna, killing of the demons. So I took the topic of killing of the demon Aghasura. So today we will discuss how Aghasura got liberated. So Aghasura, he was a brother of Putana and Bakasura. So Aghasura came with an evil intention to kill Krishna, his cowherd boyfriends, and the calves and the cows. So Sukadeva Goswami begins this chapter with a wonderful discussion about intention of Krishna on the particular day, how he wanted to go to the forest with his cowherd boyfriends. So daily before this, he used to go to take his breakfast. Then he used to go with the Gopa boys, taking his calves to the forest. So they used to have their breakfast at home. On this particular day, Krishna decided to take his breakfast in the forest. So he thought today he will leave early to the forest along with the cowherd boyfriends and the calves. He told Yashoda Maiya that I will go early and pack my lunch boxes. So before this, how they used to go? They used to have their breakfast at home. So Yashoda Maiya used to decorate Krishna very meticulously with beautiful jewels, dress, silken dress, and all the ornaments, waistbands, flute, and beautifully she used to decorate him with a peacock feather, pearls, and all. So Krishna used to take his lunch box, and they used to venture into the forest along with his cowherd boyfriends and calves. Generally, from 1 to 5 years is the age of Kaumara. So in this age, Krishna was a baby. Like he used to crawl. He used to be on lap of Mother Yashoda. Yashoda used to feed him. He used to crawl. He used to run, walk. He was a toddler. He used to run. And so these were all these pastimes were Vatsalya Bhav, in Vatsalya Bhav. So all the gopis, elderly gopis were involved in this Vatsalya Bhav pastimes of Krishna. And after 5 to 10 years is the Pauganda Leela, where Krishna grew up a little bit older, and so he was given the charge of tending the calves. And 10 to 15 years is a Kishora age, and 15 and above is the Yavana. So when Mother Yashoda used to send Krishna to the forest, generally used to tell Balaram that you should take care of your younger brother. You should not leave him alone. You should see that he doesn't venture into the forest, deep into the forest. So you should take care of him. Balaram, being the elder one, he was very responsible, and he used to take care of all the cowherd boys and even Krishna. So when all these cowherd boys, when Krishna used to leave for grazing the cows, he used to just cross the courtyard of his house, and Mother Yashoda will call him, Krishna, Krishna, wait. Then Krishna would say, what happened, Maya? Then she says, see, your waistband has become loose. I will tighten it. Come here. I will tighten it up. Again, he used to go a little bit far, and she used to call, Krishna, come here. See, your turban has become loose. And after that, she sets everything right. Again, she used to call Krishna. See, your peacock feather is falling, and see, your jewels are not proper. Every time she used to call, and she used to set right properly. And Krishna would say, Maya, I am going just for today, like in the afternoon. By evening, I will be returning back. So don't worry, I will come back. So mother used to feel so separated from Krishna, Yashoda Maya. So she used to think the the day separation was so uh, they could not imagine Krishna going away from them. So Mother Yashoda used to watch Krishna till till he disappears from her sight, like how they venture into the forest. Till then, she used to keep waiting, like looking at Krishna. Um, so this is how the ordinary other days used to happen. But on that day, Krishna told Yashoda Maya, "No, I have to leave early. I have to go for a picnic with my cowherd boyfriends. So pack my lunch box and everything. So we will have a breakfast in the forest." So Mother Yashoda gets ready Krishna, and she prepares the lunch box and everything. And Krishna, he blew his bugle, and he calls all his friends by his name, Madhumangala, Sudama, and all. So they also get ready. They assemble with their lunch boxes. All their mothers come. They have the stick and flute. All the other groups also used to have flute. So they assemble with all their other things, and they used to venture into the forest. All the boys, they were very happy, very jolly. They used to feel so nice to be associated with Krishna. So, uh, like when in the daytime, the gopis used to feel separated from Krishna. In the night times, the gopas used to feel separated from Krishna. Uh, at night, Krishna used to be at home. So the gopis, the elderly gopis never felt Yashoda Maya and Rohini Maya. They never felt separated. But the gopas used to feel separated. They used to come in the midnight calling, Krishna, Krishna, come, we'll go venture into the forest. We have to herd our calves. And then Yashoda Maya used to say, now it is midnight. You have to go to sleep. You can come and take Krishna in the morning. Then again they will go and sleep. So this is how they used to feel separated. Like the daytime separation was there for motherly gopis. In the night time it was for gopas. So once Krishna, so it is described here in Krishna book how Lord and his friends used to venture into the forest, and as soon as they went into the forest, even though they were decorated with the golden ornaments, pearls, and different kinds of beads, still they used to pluck flowers, the forest flowers, the leaves, and different kinds of flowers, and they used to decorate themselves, and even Krishna. And they used to take the mud of Govardhan hill, and they used to smear it on their body. So this is how they used to enjoy venturing into the forest. Um, and they all had their lunch boxes. They used to one boy used to steal the lunch box of the other boy, and that boy, he didn't know that his lunchbox was being stolen. So he would be searching for his lunchbox, and it would be passing from one friend to another. And this is how they used to keep on bothering that boy. So the same games we can see in this material world also. Small boys, they keep playing like this. So there is a difference between uh, enjoyment in this material world and enjoyment in the spiritual world, because Krishna is the center in spiritual world, and in material world it is only regarding me and myself. And by playing these games, the boys didn't have enviousness or any hatred or anger, just for some kind of happiness and joy. They used to play like this. And sometimes Krishna used to go and stand in a very distant place to look about, to have a look of a beautiful spot in Vrindavan. The boys, they were behind Krishna, so they would play games like who will go and touch Krishna first. Okay, it will be me. It will be me, and everyone will be shouting, "No, I will be. You will lose first. I will go and touch Krishna." So they will start. Uh, Racing among themselves. So sometimes they used to imitate the birds, the uh, cuckoo birds. They used to, they will imitate the sound of the cuckoo bird, and sometimes they used to dance like a peacock. They will follow the peacock, and sometimes uh, they will see the frog. If the frog jumps into the water, these boys also, they will also dive deep into the water, and again they will come out of the water, and when they stand, they see their shadows, and they will make some different faces or different kind of gestures, and and they would go and shout in the well some bad things which would echo back, and they feel very they feel very enthusiastic, like how far I will shout, how loud I will shout, and different kinds of words, and that would echo, and that would give a lot of pleasure to them. All these things the boys used to do in the forest. So and they used to they will pull the tail of the monkey, and they will try to climb the branches, and they would sometimes uh, they would echo, uh, they would make a sound of a cuckoo. They would confuse the cuckoo, whether it is a bird or it's someone else doing the sound of other cuckoo bird. So in this way, they used to uh, have a lot of fun in the jungle. Sukadeva Goswami says that one day Krishna wanted to have breakfast. Okay, this I have completed. So Krishna's main intention was to have enchanting picnic with his cowherd boyfriends. And Krishna had so many Gopa friends, like thousands and thousands of Gopa friends. And each Gopa had thousands and thousands of cow. Krishna also had thousands and thousands of cow, and Krishna remembered each and every cow's name. Uh, and he would call them by name, and they would come running to Krishna and lick Krishna, start licking Krishna. So here the word used is asankhya, and the acharyas say that asankhya is 10 to the power of 51. That means 1 followed by 51 zeros. It is like infinity. And here Krishna, as he is decorated by so many jewels, there are some jewels like kacha, gunja beads. They are reddish with the black dots on them. By wearing them, Krishna used to look more beautiful, very, very beautiful. So here it is described here that the ornaments which Krishna wore, it did not beautify Krishna. In return, the ornaments became beautified by Krishna wearing them. So it is said that param padam bhushana bhushanangam. Krishna's transcendental body is the ornament of all ornaments. Sometimes Krishna, the competition and comparison exists in the spiritual world, but without any envy and malice. It is they are very sweet pastimes. So Sukadeva Goswami describes here the good fortune of the Gopa boys. There are certain spiritual seekers who are gyanis and philosophers. They aspire for Brahma Sukha. They aspire to attain the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. So they want to merge into the bodily effulgence of Krishna. And there are some devotees who aspire to render bhakti, some service to the Lord in the mood of a servant. So they are generally devotees of the Lord. And there are some people who are karmis. They take shelter of Maya. They are materialistic people and they don't know who is Krishna. They don't consider Krishna as a god. They just consider Krishna as an ordinary child. But none of the people have the opportunity to play with the Lord. In all these categories, they don't have the opportunity to play with Lord. Gopas are not jnanis, bhaktas or karmis. Forget about karmis, they are not mere karmis. They are very elevated and exalted associates of the Krishna. They are eternal associates of Krishna. They have done heaps and heaps of pious activities that pleased Krishna, and they have got an opportunity to play with Krishna as a friend. And Krishna is not an ordinary. Krishna is not an ordinary this one, but so they got associated in Krishna's pastime in Vrindavan. So Krishna, Brahmaji says, what great fortune these Nanda Gopas and all the Brajavasis have performed, because Krishna is playing a part of a son and friend for all the Gopas and Gopis. So Brahma is praising the fortune of all the Brajavasis here. Sukadeva Goswami very fondly praising the greatness of Gopa boys. Also, as all these boys were playing with each other, so there came a demon, Aghasura. He was actually a snake demon. He was a python actually. He was a huge demon. Measuring 8 miles. 8 miles. And he laid in that forest by opening his mouth wide open. His upper jaw was touching the clouds and his lower jaw was lying on the ground. And his tongue was like a broad Broadway, like a national highway. The only difference is the highway will be black and the snake's tongue is pink in color, pink reddish in color. Here Agha means sin. Aghasura is a sinful demon. His death was being awaited by Krishna, by even demigods. They feared Aghasura, as he used to trouble the demigods. So devatas were waiting for his death. Aghasura had a lot of grudge and envy towards Krishna because he killed his sister Baka and Baki. Baki is Putana, Baka is Bakasura. So he wanted to kill Krishna and offer grain and water for their in return as a revenge to the killing of their brother and sister. Aghasura was the only demon who did not want to kill only Krishna, but also the cowherd boys and the calves and cows. His intention was, if he kills Krishna, the cowherd boys and the calves, if he kills Krishna and the cowherd boys, definitely their parents will die. And and the calves, when the calves are dead, definitely the cows will also die. So he wanted to indirectly finish the whole of Rajavasis here. So that was his cruel and very violent intention of Aghasura. So Aghasura, he was seeing all this playing sports with Krishna. He was watching this, so he could not digest the feeling that these Gopa boys were playing so nicely with Krishna. They were having a lot of fun. So he thought he will kill all his Gopas, calves, and Krishna. So he came and opened his mouth so that they may enter his mouth. So an envious person cannot tolerate the happiness of other person. He is always why this person is happy. Why he is always like envious person is para dukhi sukhi. If other is in a distressed position, he is very happy. Very good. This should only like this only he should suffer. Then I am very like this is very good. So a demonic person cannot tolerate the happiness of other person. Celebrating the success of the other person is the quality of a Vaishnava. So quality of a Vaishnava is, if someone is in distress, then he will try to go and help him in his distress. If someone is very happy, he feels very happy and he says okay. But if if his happiness is related to something material, then he will try to enlighten him and tell that the real happiness is not in this material happiness. You should rise above this and try to connect yourself to the happiness, real happiness, that is associating with Krishna, Krishna's devotees, taking his name, hearing his pastimes. So a Vaishnava will try to enlighten a person who is seeking material happiness. Aghasura thought, how can Krishna be happy with his Gopa? And he wanted to kill him. Aghasura, when he opened the mouth, all the Gopa Balakas thought, this place we have never seen. Actually, this place it did not existed when we came yesterday. How come suddenly it has come up? So they will go and they will try to examine the place. Like they will see, oh, how big is this cave? Some boys will be thinking, how big is this cave? And the teeth are like the mountain summit, and the breath of Aghasura was very hot, as if like something like a hurricane. It was coming like at the speed of hurricane. Then they were thinking, what is this? And a very fishy smell was coming from his mouth. Some were contemplating it as it is a serpent, and some are saying no, it is a demon. Someone were thinking like, even if it is a demon, what will happen? We will enter. Our Krishna is there, no? He will protect us. Like how he killed Bakasura. So he entered the mouth of Bakasura and split wide open the mouth of Bakasura. So in the similar way, he will protect us. So thinking like this, they thought, okay, let us see and let us enter. They were thinking like this, and they were entering, and they thought like, today we got a new place to play our sports. So they entered, and they here the Leela Shakti of Krishna was acting in this pastime. She was thinking, these Gopa Balakas, they want to go inside. So, and Krishna, he was hearing about this Aghasura. They were talking about this Aghasura. So Krishna was listening to the conversation of Gopa boys, and he was thinking, no, they should not enter. This is a demon in the form of a big serpent. He will swallow my friends. Now the Leela Shakti was in confusion whether to support Krishna or whether to support the Gopa Balakas. So she supported Gopa Balakas, because if they enter the mouth of Aghasura, definitely Krishna will not keep quiet. He will also enter, and after entering, Krishna will not keep quiet. He will definitely kill the demon, and by killing the demon, Krishna will be glorified. So Leela Shakti thought that she will give the side of Gopa boys. So these Gopa boys, they entered. Even Krishna was calling them, please do not enter. Please, it is a very dangerous and poisonous snake. But even then, the Gopa boys continue to enter, thinking to explore what it is, how it is, and they were confident that even if it is a demon, what will happen? Krishna is there. Krishna is there to protect us. So Krishna tried to stop them, but they could not listen to Krishna, and they entered the mouth. So here Aghasura was watching, like he was, even the Gopa boys, when they entered, he was looking at Krishna. Why this Krishna is still not entering? So he was looking at meditating on Krishna. So then Krishna thought, okay, when they have entered, who are very dear to me, I cannot live without my calves and my Gopa boyfriends. So Krishna also thought he will also enter into the mouth of Aghasura. So when Krishna entered into the mouth of Aghasura, Aghasura closed his wide open mouth. And now Aghasura, being a python, generally python, it kills the prey, but first it swallows the prey, then it tries to twist and turn its body so that the bones, the muscles, everything gets mashed up. So it was trying to twist its body, but Krishna, after entering the body, he sees that all his friends, because of the poisonous bile juice in the stomach of the python, they were all dead. So Krishna thought, like, now no one is looking, so I better expand. So he started to expand in the mouth of Aghasura. So when Krishna started to expand himself, Aghasura, he also started to expand himself. But Krishna is unlimited. He can extend himself to how much ever he wants. So he was expanding. And when he expanded, like where the Aghasura could not resist, because the life air of Aghasura was being choked up. His throat was being choked up because Krishna was standing near his throat and he was expanding. And Aghasura, the life air of Aghasura came out from the Brahmarandra, which is on the top of the head. So, and all his friends, they also came out, and Krishna also came out from that Brahmarandra. So, here Krishna is called Ananta Virya Sarvajna. So, Sarvajna means all-knowing and unlimitedly powerful. In this case, he expanded his form, and Aghasura was dead. He was dead, and a spark came out of Aghasura's body, and it was standing outside of the dead body of Aghasura for some time, because Krishna was inside the mouth of Aghasura. So as soon as Krishna came outside the body of dead body of Aghasura, the spark, which is the soul of Aghasura, it entered the body of Krishna. So here Aghasura got Sarupya Mukti. Sarupya Mukti means the same form as the Lord. So why we may think how a demon like Aghasura can get a Sarupya Mukti. So like in one of the lectures of Radhesham Prabhuji, he was saying, like when the Gopas entered the mouth of Aghasura, he was looking towards Krishna, waiting for Krishna to enter his mouth. So that time he was in Samadhi and he was meditating on the beautiful form of Krishna. Like his eyes were looking for Krishna. Like he should enter, this person should enter, only then I can close my mouth. So that was his intention. So that is when he meditated on Krishna's form. So that form was within the heart of Aghasura. And another reason is, when Krishna entered into his mouth, like Krishna is when Krishna entered his mouth, his whole body became purified. Like the bad smell coming from Aghasura's mouth, the fishy smell was totally gone, and the whole body was giving a very beautiful aroma. So we also take Krishna's name in our mouth, like by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So when we daily chant, definitely we will also get liberated. Of, but without any anarthas, we should chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And the third one is the open mouth of Aghasura was a kind of a ground for the playing ground for these cowherd boys. So that gave pleasure to the Gopas. So anyone who gives pleasure to the devotees of the Lord will be very pleased. So these are the three reasons. Krishna thought, okay, we will liberate this Aghasura. So in this way, Aghasura was liberated and he got Sarupya Mukti. The demigods who were watching this, they felt very happy. Oh, now this Aghasura is killed, and they were dancing, they were playing mridangas, and they were showering flowers and on Krishna. They were very happy. They thought like, oh, now this demon is killed, this vicious demon is killed. So in Vrindavan, Krishna shows his kindness to the topmost degree. Like for Putana, he gave an elevated motherly position in Vaikuntha. And for even now in case of Aghasura also, he liberated him and by giving him Sarupya Mukti. So we will just go back and see who is Aghasura in his past life. Aghasura was Shankachuda's son. His name was Agha. Even in that life, his name was Agha. Agha means a sinful person. He was very strong and extremely beautiful. He was very good looking. And he was very puffed up because of that. Like he was very beautiful and he was very strong. He was very puffed up. So once he saw Ashtavakra Muni. When he saw Ashtavakra Muni, he felt like, what is this person bent from 8 sides? He's like crooked. Then he started commenting like, you are bent from 8 sides and all, and you're crooked and all. Then Ashtavakra Muni, he gave him a curse, saying that you are so shameless that you don't know, like you are like a snake, like a nasty snake. You are commenting upon a sage. So now I will curse you that you become crooked from all the sides. Like a snake will be crooked from all the sides. But after this, Agha became repentful, and he told, please, I'm extremely sorry for commenting like this. So Ashtavakra Muni told Agha that you will be a snake, but your liberation will be by one of the beautiful personalities, and he will be a Krishna. So Ashtavakra Muni tells him like, you will be liberated by Krishna. So in this way, Aghasura was Agha in his past life. And Ashtavakra Muni says like, you thought that you are only beautiful, but you will be liberated by a person who will be million times, he will be like millions of cupids put together. Such a beautiful person will liberate you. Like in Brahma Samhita it is said, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Krishna brings Aghasura out of his sinful life by entering his mouth and giving him liberation. After killing Aghasura, the Gopas, the cowherd, the calves, and Krishna, they all return to their respective homes. But this Leela will be discussed after 1 year. So here, Sukadeva Goswami will be asking, Parikshit Maharaj will be asking Sukadeva Goswami, like, why is it that this pastime is being discussed after 1 year? So this we can know from tomorrow's class. Mataji will be enlightening us. So in this way, the killing of Aghasura takes place, and Aghasura gets liberated. So now, what Aghasura represents? Aghasura represents cruelty, enviousness. Cruelty in the sense he wanted to kill the friends of Krishna along with Krishna and calves. He was so cruel because he killed, Krishna killed Putana and Bakasura. But he did not know why Krishna killed Putana and Bakasura. They themselves went to Krishna. Krishna never went to them and killed. They came to Krishna to kill with an intention to kill Krishna. So a crooked-minded and cruel person will never understand, even if we tell the reason for the killing of their brother and sister. So all the demons who came to kill Krishna represent some negative qualities and anarthas in struggling sadhaka's life. So Krishna is kind in killing these demons and giving them liberation. Similarly, Krishna kills our anarthas, which are like a stumbling block on our spiritual progress. So anartha represented here, it is enviousness. Because of enviousness, he was envious that Krishna was happy with gopas, he was playing with gopas, he was all the gopas were happy. So envy means having no ability to tolerate others' happiness. Aghasura could not tolerate the happiness of gopas playing with Krishna. Envy is very deep rooted anartha. If we have envy and we try to chant, we cannot chant properly. It's very difficult. We will be always thinking how this person always is like this, always happy, always they are so this one. So when we have that thought process, it is very, very difficult chanting purely. Like we cannot concentrate on chanting. And when we are envious, it affects our chanting very, very deeply. Like we cannot sit calmly. Our peace of mind is gone. Envy also manifests in unwillingness to give happiness to others. Like if we should be always, the real happiness is always trying to serve Krishna and his devotees. When we are unwilling to give Krishna bhakti to others, this is also a kind of enviousness. Envy is actually, it is self-envy also, we can say. When we contemplate to do harm to others, in the process, rather than we doing harm to them, we do more harm to ourselves. Like our mental peace is lost. The thing we do, it is always like negative thinking. And whomever we meet, we when enviousness enters into the heart, we will always see everything in a negative way. This is like this, oh, everyone can do, what about, what such a greatness about that person, this person. So we will be contemplating, manipulating, contemplating, all these thoughts will come in our mind. Our mind is filled with malice, grudge, hatred towards other persons. We are unable to tolerate the happiness of other persons, and we become unhappy. Seeing that person happy, we develop unhappiness, and due to which we develop a destructive mentality, become hard-hearted, lose our intelligence. We don't know what we are talking. Like if we have some grudge on other person, when that person comes in front of us, we speak something, then we realize after that enviousness is gone, then we think why I was so foolish and I was talking like that. So we lose our intelligence, and when we think of how to harm that other person so that I will be happy, how I will be happy if I torture that person or say something, then I will be very happy. In this way, we lose our peace of mind. We are agitated and disturbed, and we basically develop that envy towards everyone. And enviousness is, it is mainly because we envy Krishna. Like we think why the other person is happy. He's having so much of money. He's having so much of, like, he's doing spiritually very nice. So this kind of envy comes when uh, we uh, we hate Krishna. We don't love Krishna. We don't think that okay, this is given by Krishna to that person or that devotee. So we are not satisfied with what we have. We always hanker that, oh, this person has got this much. Oh, okay, why he got, how he got, and we started to manipulate, and we started to contemplate, and we started to uh, more thinking about more about them rather than our own this one, because Krishna only gave that happiness to that person, and if I am not happy with that, then I am against Krishna's desire. So we are envious of Krishna if we are envious of any other person, because Krishna is there in everyone's heart as Paramatma. So when we hate that person, we are also hating Krishna. As he is, see, we are everyone is God's child. So if we hate any person, then we are hating Krishna indirectly. So envy is very detrimental to one's spiritual progress, and Aghasura represents this anartha of enviousness. So we should endeavor hard to come out of this anartha, as it is not good for uh, our own sadhana and spiritual progress, and our final destination, that is going back to Godhead. Because in spiritual world, enviousness doesn't have any place. Uh, even birds don't have enviousness. So, but it is very easier said than done, as envy, we cannot make out who is envious of us. It is an emotion which cannot be seen through the eyes. So, but in one of the Vaishnava songs, it is one of the Vaishnava songs, like it is said, aparadha shunya hoy loho Krishna naam. So being careful to remain free of offenses, just take the holy name of Krishna. So when we take the name of Krishna, that cleansing starts, like the enviousness, the hatred, and the cruelty toward the person, what we think so cruelly about the person, it slowly and steadily starts leaving our mind, heart, and we will develop love towards that person. And when we love the person, we love Krishna, and we love Krishna, everything falls in its place. Uh, so to please Krishna, we need to be non-envious. So this can be done by taking shelter of Krishna, and always being Krishna conscious, like praying to Krishna to remove this kind of anartha which was there in Aghasura. Aghasura was very envious. So as like how you have killed Aghasura, who is a representative of sin personified. So I have a lot of enviousness in mind. Krishna, please remove this enviousness so that I can chant your name properly, and I can love each and every person, and I can ultimately love you. So with this attitude, we should always pray to Krishna and ask him to remove our anartha called enviousness. So with this, I conclude. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.